Hey, what's up, guys? So, where we left off last, we were working on the Blue 63 a little bit and continued working on it some today. Uh, Went outside and took the hinges, hood hinges off of a parts car out there. You know, I was supposed to do that the other day, but got a little lazy in the mix and didn't do it. So, throwing them on here, and as you may notice, the one fender is off because it's easier to access the hinge and whatnot. And everything that I put together is just loosely assembled, so it's no big deal. So anyway, the passenger side went on flawless, no problem. And as you may recall, I was a little bit worried about this side because, you know, this car had sustained a pretty hard impact in the previous accident. So, and just as expected, we did run into some issues. I don't know if you guys can tell, but the hinges don't line up exactly as they should when you look from one side to the other. This one here on the driver's side, let me see if maybe this gives a better angle. I don't know. It's kind of hard for you guys to tell maybe, but it's kind of crooked and then pitched high up towards the ceiling. So, you know, on further inspection, this cowl area over here did sustain some damage. It may be hard for you guys to tell from this camera angle, but this portion right here is it's up a little bit high. The thing got smashed, like boom, boom. So it needs to come down and even out a little bit, but the out part I'm not gonna worry about too much. What I'm gonna try to do is get it to come down a bit. Honestly, ideally, this is something, if I had like a frame machine or something, I could bolt a plate right there and yank it out. But I don't really have that. You know, I do have this pole right here, and I might consider, you know, chaining a come along to it or my porta power and trying to pull that out. But the issue is I gotta be careful with the poles because I have a compromised pole that had been ran into before. You know, you guys may have seen in other videos, this pole is kind of dented and it's compromised structurally a little bit too. So I gotta be very careful. I don't want to start putting, you know, a couple tons worth of force on this damn pole and cause myself a roof collapse or something crazy. I'm unlucky like that, so I'm trying to be cautious. But worst case scenario, if I'm not able to get this thing situated, and another indication too. Sorry before I jump around, but you see here this cowl. You see, it's not really in place. You can't really tell until you put the fender on there, and then you notice that this is kind of down. I think maybe this just got dented, so, and you can see it's kind of tore up here too, so it got kind of whacked real good. So I can replace that wiper cowl, and hopefully that's just that. But this piece I need to try to work on. So I don't know how I'm gonna go about it, but I'm gonna do something with it. So I'm gonna mess with that a little bit today. Worst case, I'm just gonna throw the fender back on it and come back to it later. I plan to try to vacuum out this car, the Acura, because I was supposed to do that, you know, over the weekend, and I didn't get to it. And I don't know what else we might get done, but these are the main things I want to work on today. For whatever reason, I'm more so drawn to the 63, and it's more so because I don't have the part that I need yet for the Acura, but I'm working on that. We'll see how soon that can come together. Hopefully this week I can have it in hand and start working on it. I would really like to, because it's starting to get cold, you know, and I want to get that in and out before it's super cold in here. But yeah, you know, it's just a little bit of disappointment when you see that hinge is all thrown off, but I kind of knew I was going to run into that because this car had been in an accident, like I said. So we'll do what we can with it to try to get it straight. It's not catastrophic damage. It's something we can work around. And what I was starting to say before I jump back and start talking about this cowl piece, worst case, we can cut this section out and replace it. As we have 263 parts cars out there that have perfectly good firewalls and cowls. And I mean, it's not bad though, so you don't want to have to start cutting stuff you don't have to, but it wouldn't be a big deal. And I even am thinking about maybe cutting this open, and then using a hook or something to be able to grapple this and just pull it out, or beat it out with a hammer. Maybe slice this, fold it up, and then see if I can't get in there and pound it out. There's many ways to do it. There's right ways, there's wrong ways, but to me, it's whatever way is gonna get it done. And this is one of those things that's not visible once the fender is on anyway, But it is an important piece of the car, right? The hood hinge bolts right there, and that's what secures your hood. So if you don't have that right, you're gonna have all kind of alignment issues and, gap problems when you have the whole front end assembled and you go to close your hood and now it's, got a big gap, or it's pinched, wedged into the corners, etc. Don't want any of that. Although, like I said, it's not that big a deal. It kind of is, because it needs to be right. Got to be right if I got my name on it. So I try to put my best foot forward and do my best work. But that's it, guys. That's just a little high-level update of what's going on. I'll come back to you and show you where I get to. I just want to hit this thing with a hammer and see if it moves at all, but I don't know. This is some pretty thick steel. They don't build them like this anymore. May even be wise to put some heat on it and then beat on it. But anyway, I'm just rambling as I think through my next plan of attack. But let's keep pushing. Ain't no stopping now. This car has been sitting for too long, and it's time to get it together. So let's do it. Shawnee C at Motor City Customs, and I'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned. Yo, okay, we're back, people. Work continues on the 63. So I ended up getting this driver's side hood hinge on there. And what I ended up doing was just using a longer bolt, and I shimmed it. So I used leftover shims from the core support. Those shims typically go right under there. Well, I'm not at the point to where I really need to shim the core support anyway. I have a kit somewhere with a bunch of shims, but I couldn't find it. That's another one of my problems, man. I'm far too disorganized. I gotta start labeling things and get some more shelves, etc. But anyway, so shimming it seems to be a success. It now is a lot less pitched. Like I said, the thing was way up. Now it's kind of lining up almost dead on. And I was able to also align. It has two other bolts that I was able to align and get in there to the fender. Those two bolts. So, it's not perfect, but it's there. Another thing I did is I took off the old cowl support. Remember, it was all pushed down in here. This still is not 100% mounted, and there is some gap there, but all I'm getting at is we're able to get away with it and not have that ugly, unsightly big dip there. So it's just, this one right now is not fully mounted. It's just kind of laying there, but the other one, it was for sure. It took some damage. So no sense in using that. So fortunately we got that. Only other thing too is this fender is a little bit close here in terms of the gap. Door still opens and whatnot, but I don't like that. I don't like it so close because once it gets painted, the lower fender bolt is not in, so it's catching down there. But yeah, so you don't want that gap too tight, because once you paint it, then it'll start to chip off, etc. So we'll finesse it later. But the main thing, like I said, is just trying to put it together so it looks good for now. We're not going hard on body work or anything like that on this car right now. We're just getting the ball rolling. and making it a little more presentable. I do have a hood. I think I mentioned in previous videos, so I want to try to get that hood and get it mounted, but that's one of the things that's really difficult to do as one person. Somehow I keep doing it. I've done it time and time again. I'm still not good at it, but you take some risks there of damaging things. But the hood is an old hood, so I might just go ahead, drag it in here, and try to get it mounted. That'll really give me the confirmation I need to know that the front end is squared up enough for me to call it, workable. That's the main thing I was trying to confirm, to make sure I don't have to do any kind of major work here, because I already have a bunch of major work in the rear portion. Yeah, so the real hard work is in this trunk area. Hard work is debatable, but for me, it's something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So I had already started some sheet metal work in the trunk here. Still need to finish welding it in, but my big, what do you call it? What's outside of my comfort zone is doing this, these drip rails. Oddly, it's just rotten as hell. And then the worst part is back up in here is it's all this disintegrated. So they do repop some of the, what do they call that? The rain gutter, I don't know. This piece goes like this. Yeah, and then I got another piece that goes in that corner. But I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, I signed up to do it, but I'm trying to take my time and get to it, because like, damn, that's going to be a little bit of a trick to it, something I don't want to screw up. But inevitably, I'm going to start working on that soon. And that's why I'm doing this here in the front, to help keep me going. Because look at it, man, this is a clean car. I got to save it, right? Got to save it. So that's what we're going to do. I may have to buy some more sheet metal to help with that process, but we'll see what we can salvage from parts cars. But as I was saying previously, it's starting to get cold here already. Right now, I'm cold. I'm getting ready to go turn on the heater and sit in front of it for a little bit. Although it's like maybe 50 some degrees or 50, and man, that's cold for me. I don't like the cold weather, although I, lived here in Michigan for a majority of my life. I never really get used to it, don't really like it. So, yeah, let me try to get as much done that I can. Hopefully we'll get that hood in here. I gotta check and see if that hood out there has bolts in it. If not, I gotta scrounge around and try to find some hood hinge, or hood to the hinge bolts. I need 4 of those to be able to secure it. And then, yeah, we can see where we go from there. So stay tuned, guys. Hopefully I come back to you with a little more progress. And I still do want to jump in the Acura and vacuum it out. That's light work. So I think I'll do that. That'll help keep my body moving and help keep me a little warm too. So I'll do that in a minute. I think I'm probably gonna pull it forward so I can swing the doors open a little better. Yeah, so and be able to get in and out of the front and the back of it, because it's filthy. Like I told you, it's got like some kind of dog fur or something in there. Maybe I'll do a small clip of what it looks like before I start cleaning, and then afterwards. Don't be expecting too much, because it's not like I'm a detailer and I don't have a whole bunch of chemicals and supplies up here to shine them up. But I just want to at least vacuum it, if nothing else. Bunch of debris and trash in there you may remember from some other clips. All right, guys. I'm your host, Shawnee C. Just stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute with a little bit more progress on the 63. And we'll take it from there. The blue 63. Not to be confused with the red 63. We're still working on that, but this one is the order of the day. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so here's the hood. I got it set up on the stand. I ran into some issues. It had been sitting outside for a long time, so the bolt holes were like extremely rusty, crusty, filthy, dirty. So I spent quite a bit of time with WD-40 and this little pick cleaning out the threads and getting it situated. And I finally got to a point. Finally got to the point to where I could get the bolts to thread in there and thread all the way down. But the other problem was just trying to find bolts too, because this hood didn't have any in there and this car didn't come with one. So I had to scrounge around. Finally found something and got it to a point now to where if I am able to get it thrown up here, the hood is heavy as hell too, let me tell you. But if I get it up here, and I'm gonna have to try to use a broomstick or something to prop it up and catch a couple of bolts, should be good. Then we'll be able to get the real test to see how the front end is lining up. So I'm gonna try and do that here shortly. And like I said, this hood is not the best hood, but it's at least a hood, rather than leaving this thing with this big old hole right here. I'm gonna try and get it slapped on there. So bear with me and wish me luck, guys. I'll come back to you in a bit if everything's able to work out. All right, talk to you in a minute. Peace. All right, guys, so we're back, and after, oh man, very precarious time, I was able to get that hood mounted. So that's the good news. Finally got all the body panels in place. But you know how things go around here. It wouldn't be right if we didn't have some bad news to go with it. Besides the fact that the hood is hella ugly, right? And I need to at least sand it down and prime it. So as you would imagine, immediately after installing the hood on here, I want to try to close it so I can check the main things I was interested in to see if, hey, everything gonna line up all right, so, or not, right? So go to close the hood and man, it ain't coming down. These hinges are rusted up pretty badly, apparently, so they're kind of stuck right now. So, I don't have a whole lot of penetrating oil or whatnot, but I did have a little can of WD-40. Sprayed it down a little bit, let it soak in for a while, and tried it. And man, these things absolutely did not budge. So that's bad news. If I was thinking when I had those things just loose in my hand, I would have tried to treat them or soak them in something, to see if I could free them up. But I don't know, man. It was not easy to get that heavy hood on there by myself without tearing anything up. I managed to do it, but now it would suck to have to take it back off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna maybe stop at the auto parts on the way home and get some PB Blaster or something like that, freeze off, WD-40, a big can or something. And throughout this week, I'm gonna just keep working on it, soaking down all those pivot points and try to get it freed up. Because ultimately, I'm trying to do this build on a budget. I already invested in the parts car with the intent to use all these parts. So if I have to now start going to buy other parts, then I'm, losing my savings, or even worse, going in the wrong direction altogether. So we'll see what we can do. We'll try to get them things freed up. And if not, we'll have to try to buy some cheap used hinges. Yeah, I have some 64 hinges, but they won't work on a 63. So as fate would have it, we're gonna try to work with what we got and hope for the best. But after all of that, fighting and wrestling with that, I don't have it in me right now to vacuum out the Acura. So we'll save that for another day. But hey, we'll just be grateful for our small victory. We were able to go reclaim parts off of one of the parts cars, get them installed, get the hood on here and mounted, even though we can't close it. And we, tightened up a few of the other bolts on the front clip. So there's still forward progress. Not where we want it to be, but we're still further ahead than where we were yesterday. So not giving up. At the end of the day, too, this is another one of those projects with a very loose timeline, right? I'm under no pressure to get this car done in, a few days, a couple months, a year. It's whatever. Whenever I finish it, I finish it. With that said, I still want to get it done by spring. So I'm doing what I can to work on it here and there. But like I said, I'm not really trying to spend much money on this particular car. So I'm just working with things I already have around the shop here and parts that I've already purchased for this along the way. So we're just going to keep pushing and see what happens. But for now, that's where we ended up for today. I'm your host, Shawnee C, here at Motor City Customs. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you're new here, hey, consider subscribing to the channel. If you do subscribe, adjust your bell notification so you pick all, and that way you won't miss any of the content. And yeah, if you like the content, go ahead and support the channel. Consider being a member, etc., etc. Check out some of our live streams. We recently dropped some real nice ones. A lot of beautiful cars in there, so check those out when you get time. And if nothing else, stay tuned, because as I make progress, I'll keep you guys updated. That's it for now, folks. Take care. Be safe out there. We're out of here. Peace.